Hello everyone, my name is Mike. I'm one of the artists here at the Animation Academy, the magic of Disney animation in Disney's Hollywood Studios at the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. Here at the Animation Academy, we teach the guests to draw their favorite Disney characters every day. Today we're going to draw one of my favorite Disney characters that I get requested to draw the most, Dopey from Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Dopey is going to begin first with a really big circle, a large circle in the very center of your page, about the size of a circle about the size of the only fruit that must make its wedding arrangements known. Do you have any idea what fruit I'm talking about? A cantaloupe, because it can't elope. Yeah, these are the jokes. Okay, let's keep going. Circle, big circle the size of a cantaloupe. Once you've got your circle shape drawn, very light, don't make it dark, light and messy, put a dot in the very center of your circle. Okay, from there we're going to draw a little bitty short line going all the way down. I'm a proportionist, so when I teach how to draw the character, I'm going to give you some good proportions so that we can lay out the features of the face in the right place. So with that short little vertical line, now we're going to draw this next important line, the crescent. This is going to give us the center of Dopey's face. The dot is the center of the circle, the crescent is the center of the face. So draw your little crescent. Okay, the next line is going to be a curve for the bottom of the eyes. I'm going to begin just a little bit higher than the center of our circle over here on the left. And this next curve, I like to call this the equator curve. If this were a globe, this curve would be likened unto the equator. And notice the curve goes just below our dot. Still keep it light. And there we are. All right, that's for the bottom of the eyes. The next one we're going to draw is going to be for the top of the eyes. From that equator line, go about halfway up your circle, put a little mark, about halfway up. And now we're going to draw a very horribly designed basketball. It's the closest shape that I can think of to describe this. So we're going to draw this curve all the way over. So there's our curve to give us the beginning of Dopey. The next thing is going to be his nose. We're going to draw a little oval right underneath. Notice this little oval shape does not touch the vertical line, and it's still a little ways away from the edge of your circle, right underneath. Keep it kind of small. Dopey is probably the smallest nose of all the dwarves, but what he lacks in nasal capacity, he makes up for with those verschlingener ears. So there's our nose. Let's go ahead and add in some cheeks and dimples. I'm going to start on the right with my little curve for the cheek, going a little bit higher to the edge of the circle. And now our dimple on the right. That's going to be a little bitty S curve. There it is. And now we're going to switch to the left side. Now the fortunate thing about being able to draw Dopey from a 3/4 view, we don't have to worry about the proportions being perfect. Because his head is turned, nothing's going to be the same on the left as it is on the right. So this makes it a whole lot easier to draw. So let's go ahead and draw the cheek on the right side. And yes, these lines do cross over that equator line. So there's our cheek. And now we'll need a dimple on the left side. A gigantic S curve again, and there is our dimple. Well, congratulations everyone, you just drew a 4-legged spider. All right, so let's keep going. Need to go ahead and define his nose a little more, and with that, I'm going to press down a little bit harder, and let's get the bulbous shape of his nose. Everything that we're drawing for the nose is going to be inside this little bitty oval. So first the bulbous shape. Follow it around the bottom. I'll add a little nostril here on this far left side. And then I'll draw a little bitty small bridge to attach his nose to his head or to the face. All right, so there's our nose. At this time, we can go ahead and darken our cheek on the right, dimple on the right, and the cheeks on the left, cheek on the left and dimple on the left. There it is. A good start. All right, now let's go ahead and work on that big old smile that Dopey has. Between the nose and the edge of our circle, this is pretty easy to spot. No reason really to draw this lightly. We're going to draw a line that's parallel between the nose and the circle, and we're going to take it all the way to the crescent. Now from the left side, we're going to take it from the dimple and draw the other side of that smile and catch them together. All right, now let's build his mouth. The mouth is going to be like a little swinging hammock between the cheeks. So I'm going to begin on the right side here, and I'm going to let this little hammock shape tip just below my circle. And I'll pick up the hammock shape from the left and let it sweep on down to the circle as well. So it's not just a hammock, it's a swinging hammock. And I'll darken that a little bit in. Now we have our little hammock shape for the open mouth. Let's put a little tongue inside of that hammock or the open mouth. Two little rolling hills. And there's our tongue for Dopey. Pretty easy to toss that in. All right, the next thing is going to be Dopey's lip. So for the lip, I'm going to start on the edge of my circle on the right. Put a little mark here to indicate a parallel line to the mouth. I'll do the same thing on the left, a little line at the edge of the circle, marking a parallel line to the mouth. And now simply follow that around. All the way around. Now I'm leaving this pretty dark because the only thing below it is going to be Dopey's turtleneck. So let's continue the lip a little higher on the left, just above the circle, just a smidge. And now we can build his jaw on the left and the outer curve of the cheek on the right. So for the jaw on the left, we can easily let our circle help us to draw this shape, keeping it a little wide. And there we have the shape of our jaw on the left. Now switch to the other side, we'll draw the outer shape, which could be a jaw, but we have the pudge of the cheek. So this is going to look a little bit like a half of a heart. So I like to start my heart shape at the top, just a little bit wide. And I'll pick up the bottom of my heart shape by the lip. I find it easier to draw this heart shape with the beginning and the end point and then have the two meet together. So let me continue my heart shape. And bring that around. There is my half heart shape. All right, the next thing to set up for our drawing of Dopey is going to be Dopey's eyes. So for the eyes, I'd recommend starting off very light for these. We have the top guideline for the eyes, so that's great. So let's draw the shapes of the eyes. Large ovals, large round oval shapes to the top. They're narrow at the bottom and they get a little wider towards the top. And that little dot you have in the center, yeah, that should be a part of it. That should be right inside that left oval shape for the eye. Okay, let's switch sides and get the right eye drawn in. The right eye is going to be a little narrower. It's going to lean a little further, right above the cheek. And notice the left and the right eye do not look the same. So don't worry about trying to make them exactly alike. Now let's go ahead and darken these shapes for the eyes. Large ovals, up and around. And the same thing will be for the right eye, darken that in. Let's go ahead and add some eyelashes to Dopey. Now all the dwarves have eyelashes on their eyes except one. One dwarf does not have eyelashes. Give you a moment to think about it as we draw these in. I'm going to let the top curve of my eyes be a little thick to give him his eyelids. The only dwarf that doesn't have eyelashes is Grumpy. I like to say he just grumped them off. Okay, so there's the shape of her eyes. I got them darkened in. Let's go ahead and draw in the pupils and irises too. So for the pupils and irises, we'll draw the left one first. I like to use this one, this oval shape, to be about the size of, I'm going to say a lima bean. Right there in the eye, draw the full oval. For the right one, the size of a pinto bean. Yes, a little smaller. Now for the pupils. Inside of these, the left one's the size of a peanut, perhaps. A peanut shape looks good. And the right one is about the size of a raisin. Now let's shade them in. I'm going to put a little bit of a sparkle in my pupils. I'll leave a little bitty area unshaded to give us that little hint of a sparkle in the eyes. Great. Now we've got them in, let's go ahead and add in his brows. Not only is he smiling, he's really smiling, so his brows push up. And of course, I've got lots of wrinkles in my forehead, so we're going to put some little wrinkles in Dopey's brow too. So let's begin with the left one, pretty high. We'll draw this arc way up here into the edge of our circle. Then we'll add a little bitty crease that's below it. A lot of people think this is his eyebrow. I don't think he has eyebrows. This is just a little shadow below his brow where he would have eyebrows. So there's our little crease. Now switch sides and we'll do this again. This time we're going to draw the crease just at the edge of our circle. By now you're probably thinking, okay, if this is on the edge of the circle, where is the rest of Dopey's head? We'll get to that in just a second. Add in your other little bitty crescent shape for the other wrinkle. And there we have him. Okay, now, this lets us know that Dopey's head's bigger than the circle shape we drew, which is fine. Let's go ahead and mark where the top of his head really should be. And here it is. Just above our circle, I'm going to use the crescent shape I drew before as my mark. And this is the top of his head. Okay, now, before we darken this around to the right side of the face, we need to know where to take it to. I'm going to use the guideline for the bottom of my eyes just above the cheek, and this is where that curve is going to go to. So now we've got these two marks drawn. Go ahead and connect them together. Let your circle help you draw this curve all the way around. All right, now, before we draw the shape back to the other side for the rest of his head, we've got one more little thing to add to make Dopey look a little cuter. He has these little bitty laugh lines, little pudge marks. First, we'll draw the one on the right, this little bitty pudge right here between the edge of the face and the cheek. And this will lead us to his laugh line. So there's a little laugh line crease for the right eye. And we may as well draw the one on the left cheek as well. Now we can finish up the shape of his head, but keep it light because the hat's going to cover up a good chunk of the head. So I'm going to start at the very top of my circle and lightly continue the shape of my circle all the way around to my equator line on the back side of my circle. So there it's going to be for the rest of the head. All right, I mentioned that Dopey's got some large ears, so let's set the ears up. Here we go. I'm going to begin just on the same guideline for the eyes, and I'm going to start the shape of my ear curving out pretty wide. Remember, he does have some awfully large ears, so I'll draw my shape of the ear lightly, and we're going to see if I got the size of the ear correct. And I'll put a little bitty earlobe at the bottom. Now, if you're wondering how I know how big the ear is supposed to be, we're going to check it with this little bitty trick. Measure from the left side of your left eye to the right side of your head. This distance right here should be the width of the ear. It just so happens that that's what the width of the ear should be. Let's see if I got it right. Yeah, pretty good. That's not bad. Winged it pretty good. So now that we know where the ear is supposed to be, let's go ahead and darken it. Once in a while, I'll draw it a little bit smaller than it should be, and since I drew it lightly, I can always go back and make it a little bigger, or smaller, depending on what I need. Add a little bitty earlobe at the bottom, and now we can add inside the ear, a little bit of cartilage. looks like a backwards lowercase h right inside the ear for the cartilage. All right, the ear is out of the way. Finally, we can work on that weird looking hat he has on top of his head. So let's begin with this little bitty line right by the ear. It's going to start off, we'll make it dark in a moment. It's going to start off curving from behind the ear, alongside the brow, above our head, and this is going to become a crease on the hat on this far right side. So there is a funny little bitty, almost like an S-curve shape. So what starts off being a dark part of the edge of the hat ends up being just a little crease in the hat. So where's the rest of the hat? Let's pick that up from the right side of our head, and we're going to use the guideline from our eyes to start the other side of the hat. Here we go. From the right side of the eye, now I'm going to start my hat over here. And this time I'm going to put some little bitty marks along the way to help us know where that's supposed to go. It's going to curve right past our crease. I'm going to let it go a little bit higher, just above our crease at the very top here. And then I know I'm going to want it to curve over here on top of his head. Now I've got these 4 marks. Just go ahead and draw a line, connecting them together, almost like we're connecting the dots. So, and you can make this line fairly dark as we get around the right side. Nothing else is going to go past this portion of our drawing. This is the farthest we're going to go to the right and above on our drawing. All right, let's wrap up the hat now. We're almost there. Let's put another crease on his hat. This canvasy material the hat is made of is very thick, and it doesn't fit the dwarves very well, so it's got these creases as it sits around his face. So now by the ear, I'll draw a little bitty crease. And behind the ear, I'll draw a little bitty crease. And finally, from the back of his head, we'll draw a long curve that shows the material of the hat sitting on his head. Now, you think you're done with the hat, but there's still one more important part to draw for the hat, and that's that sack-like shape in the very, very back. We'll pick it up from the very top of the ear and lightly curve this shape for the back of the hat. Now, generally when you see Dopey, you'll see the back of the hat in 2 locations, either hanging down or hanging out and down or curving up. In my model sheet, it curves up, so that's the way I draw it. So there's the sack shape for the hat going all the way around and attaching itself right on top of the head. All right, looks kind of funny without his second ear. So let's give him his second ear. Now, all we need to remember is the height of the ear. The width of the ear, because his head is turned, it's going to be a little narrower. So here we go with our ear on the right. Don't have to make it nearly as big this time, but it needs to stick out. So here's our ear on the right, and looking at the height, I need to add my little ear lobe at the bottom. And now I'm going to darken that ear shape. We still need some more cartilage, so this one's going to be a little forwards lowercase h for the cartilage inside the right ear. All right, ears are done. Now it's time for his turtleneck. So for the turtleneck, what I want you to draw now at the very, very bottom of the lip is a sideways S-curve. And we're going to draw this through the lip, all the way around. So there is our little S-curve. Don't make it dark. A little S-curve shape. Great. Now below that, we're going to draw another S-curve. This is a bigger, darker, bolder S-curve. And this should be at the very bottom of our drawing. There you go. Like I said, that's a bigger, darker, bolder S-curve. Now let's finish up the turtleneck. From the left side, I'm going to follow that shorter, smaller S-curve close to the lip, but not all the way to the lip. I need to add one more little crease behind his jaw that shows material for the turtleneck going around his neck. Now on the right side, follow that small little bitty S-curve, darken the rest of it, and this time let his neck curve into it. There. Now we can wrap up the turtleneck by drawing one more little crease or one more fold from the right side, going around like so. And there's our turtleneck. Now you think you're finished with the drawing, but there's still one more piece of the drawing left to add, and that is there's still more hat. The hat does hang behind his ear and it hangs down towards the turtleneck. So let's finish it up. From behind the ear, here we go. A little crease, curves down and around. And below that, here's the outside fold, or the outside line from the hat, going all the way down to the turtleneck. Last thing to do now for our drawing before we sign it is to do a little bit of shading. So with your pencil, use the flat side to shade through the hat. I'm going to make it a little bit darker, right where it's closest to his head, where it's going to be in more shadow. And then I'll also add a shadow or shade in my hat from the top, covering up some of those guidelines all the way around, and then letting it get a little bit darker right under the forehead. And if you really want to, you can shade inside the mouth. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You just drew Dopey from Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So did your Dopey look a little bit dopey when you finished it? Were you whistling while you worked? Come see me and the other artists here at the Magic of Disney Animation when we'll teach you how to draw your favorite Disney characters. And in the words of Dopey,